The control room shook violently as the first barrage hit. Captain Alex Drayton, gripping the edge of his command console, shouted over the blaring alarms, "Brace for impact. All hands, battle stations. This is not a drill." His voice cut through the chaos, a beacon of authority and calm in the storm of war. The USS Dauntless was under attack by Emperor Excelor's forces, a surprise assault that no one had anticipated. The enemy ships had appeared out of nowhere, their weapons targeting the supercarriers with deadly precision. Alex's mind raced as he assessed the damage reports flooding in from every deck. "Shields are holding, but just barely," reported Lieutenant Jackson, his voice strained but steady. "We can't take much more of this, Captain." Alex nodded, his eyes never leaving the tactical display. "Divert all available power to the shields and weapons. We need to buy time for reinforcements to arrive." The ship rocked again as another volley hit, lights flickering. Alex's heart pounded, but he kept his focus. "Engineering, status report?" Chief Engineer Patel's voice crackled through the intercom. "We're working on stabilizing the reactors, Captain. It's a mess down here, but we'll hold." "Do whatever it takes," Alex replied. He turned to his second-in-command, Commander Lee. "Get me a secure line to the fleet command. We need backup now." Lee nodded and moved to comply, while Alex continued to issue orders. He could feel the weight of responsibility pressing down on him, but he couldn't let it show. His crew needed to see confidence, not fear. "Captain, incoming transmission from the lead enemy ship," Lee announced. "Put it through," Alex ordered. The main screen flickered to life, revealing the menacing face of Emperor Xalor. His eyes burned with fury, and his voice was cold and calculated. "Captain Drayton, surrender your vessel, and your fleet will be spared. Resist, and you will all be destroyed." Alex's jaw tightened. "This is Captain Alex Drayton of the USS Dauntless. We will never surrender. Your aggression will not go unchallenged." Xalor's face twisted into a sneer. "Very well, Captain. Prepare to be annihilated." The screen went dark, and the Dauntless shook again from another impact. Alex glanced around the control room, meeting the eyes of his crew. "We won't give up. We're fighting for more than just ourselves. We're fighting for Earth, for our families, for everything we hold dear. Stay strong and stay focused." The crew responded with a resounding, "Aye, Captain." The atmosphere in the room was tense, but determined. "Captain, multiple enemy ships on approach," Jackson reported. "Deploy countermeasures and prepare to return fire," Alex commanded. The Dauntless weapons systems hummed to life, targeting the approaching enemy vessels. The tactical display lit up with the dance of battle as lasers and missiles streaked through the void. Direct hit on the lead enemy ship. An officer called out, "But they're still coming." Alex felt a surge of pride for his crew's precision and bravery. "Keep up the pressure. We can't let them breach our defenses." The battle raged on, the Dauntless taking and dishing out damage in equal measure. The ship's hull groaned under the strain, and Alex knew they couldn't last much longer without support. "Captain, we've got a problem." Patel's voice came over the intercom again. "The reactors are overheating. We need to shut down some systems or we'll have a meltdown." Alex's mind raced. Shutting down systems would leave them vulnerable, but if the reactors blew, it would all be over. Shut down non-essential systems and reroute power to the shields and weapons. We'll hold them off for as long as we can. "Aye, Captain," Patel replied, and the lights dimmed as power was diverted. "Commander Lee, any word from Fleet Command?" Alex asked. "Negative, Captain. Communication is still being jammed." A sense of urgency gripped Alex. He knew they were running out of options. "Prepare the crew for emergency maneuvers. We need to keep this ship together until reinforcements arrive." As he issued the order, another wave of enemy fire struck the Dauntless, throwing Alex against his console. He grunted in pain, but quickly regained his footing. "Stay on target. "We're not done yet." "Captain, another wave of enemy ships incoming," Jackson reported, his voice edged with desperation. Alex took a deep breath, steeling himself for what lay ahead. "Hold the line. We can't let them break through." The Dauntless shuddered under the relentless assault, but Alex's resolve never wavered. He knew that if they could just hold out a little longer, their reinforcements would arrive, and they could turn the tide of this battle. The fate of Earth depended on it. "Captain, incoming message from the fleet," Lee shouted, a note of hope in his voice. Alex's heart lifted. "Put it through." The screen flickered to reveal Admiral Hayes. "Dauntless, this is Fleet Command. Reinforcements are en route. Hold your position." Chapter 2. Desperate Measures. The bridge of the USS Dauntless was a chaotic symphony of flashing lights, urgent voices, and the relentless rumble of enemy fire. Captain Alex Drayton stood at the center, his eyes scanning the holographic display that showed their dwindling defensive capabilities. The second wave of Emperor Excelor's forces was closing in fast, and they were running out of options. "Captain, shields at 30% and dropping." Lieutenant Jackson's voice cut through the din, his tone betraying the strain of the situation. Alex clenched his jaw. They needed a miracle. "Get me Commander Roberts in engineering." Moments later, the grizzled face of Roberts appeared on a side screen. "What's the plan, Captain?" "We need to deploy the experimental defense system," Alex said, his voice firm. Roberts hesitated, glancing at his readouts. "Captain, that system's never been tested in real combat. It could blow up in our faces." "Understood, Commander, but it's our best shot. Begin the activation sequence." Roberts nodded, his face set with grim determination. "Aye, sir. Initiating now." Alex turned to his bridge crew. "Listen up, everyone. We're about to engage an untested defense system. It's risky, but it's the best chance we've got to hold off Excelor's fleet. Stay sharp." The crew's faces reflected a mix of fear and resolve. They had faced tough odds before, but this felt different. The air crackled with tension as the seconds ticked by. Down in engineering, Roberts and his team worked feverishly, their hands flying over controls and readouts. The experimental system, codenamed Aegis, was a last resort measure designed to create an impenetrable energy barrier around the ship. In theory, it was perfect. In practice, it was a gamble. "System primed and ready, Captain." Roberts' voice came through the comms. "But we're pushing the reactors to their limits. We won't get a second chance." Alex took a deep breath. "Engage Aegis." A low hum vibrated through the ship as the system powered up. The lights flickered, and for a moment, everything seemed to hang in balance. Then, a shimmering field enveloped the Dauntless, glowing with a fierce blue light. "Shields holding steady at 50%, Jackson reported, a note of hope in his voice. The enemy fire pounded against the Aegis barrier, but the ship held firm. For the first time since the battle began, they had a fighting chance. "Status on the enemy fleet?" Alex asked, his eyes fixed on the tactical display. "Still advancing, but they're slowing down, trying to figure out what we just did," said Ensign Parker from the sensor station. "Good, that buys us some time," Alex replied. He tapped into the comms. "All sections, report." One by one, the sections of the ship checked in. Damage control teams were working non-stop to patch breaches and restore systems. Medical was overwhelmed with casualties, but they were holding together. The crew of the Dauntless was proving their mettle, just as Alex knew they would. "Captain, incoming message from the Fleet Command," Parker announced. On screen, Alex ordered. Admiral Hayes' stern face appeared, her eyes narrowing as she took in the scene on the bridge. "Captain Drayton, what's your status?" "Aegis system deployed and holding, Admiral. We've managed to slow their advance, but we're still heavily outnumbered." "Understood, Captain. Reinforcements are en route, but you need to hold that line. The fate of the fleet depends on it." "We won't let you down, Admiral," Alex promised. The transmission ended, and Alex turned his focus back to the battle. "Lieutenant Jackson, prepare a counter-offensive. We need to push them back while we have the advantage." Jackson nodded, already working the controls. "Yes, sir." The Dauntless shuddered again as another volley struck, but the Aegis barrier absorbed the impact. Alex watched the tactical display, calculating their next move. They had to strike hard and fast, exploiting the enemy's confusion. "Fire at will," Alex commanded. The ship's weaponry lit up, unleashing a barrage of plasma bolts and missiles. The enemy ships, caught off guard by the sudden counterattack, scrambled to regroup. Several smaller vessels exploded under the onslaught, and for a moment, it looked like they might actually turn the tide. "Direct hits on multiple targets, Captain," Parker reported. "They're falling back." A cheer went up on the bridge, but Alex's face remained tense. "Keep the pressure on. Don't let them regroup." The Dauntless pressed forward, its crew galvanized by the sight of retreating enemy ships. But the battle was far from over. Alex knew Excelor wouldn't give up easily. The Emperor's flagship loomed in the distance, a dark reminder of the power they still faced. "Captain," detecting a new energy signature, Parker said, his voice edged with urgency. "It's coming from the flagship." Alex's heart sank. "Prepare for evasive maneuvers. This isn't over yet." As the Dauntless braced for the next wave, Alex's mind raced with strategies. They had bought some time, but the real test was still to come. The fate of his ship, his crew, and possibly the entire fleet rested on the next few hours. He couldn't afford to fail. Chapter 3: Counter-Offensive. Captain Alex Drayton stood at the helm of the USS Dauntless, sweat trickling down his temples as he surveyed the damage reports flooding in. The second wave of enemy ships had arrived, and the Dauntless was hanging by a thread. He barked orders, his voice steady, masking the fear gnawing at him. "Damage control teams, focus on the engine room. We need power for the counter-offensive." Down in the heart of the ship, Chief Engineer Maria Vasquez worked tirelessly with her team. Sparks flew, and the air was thick with smoke and tension. "We're barely holding together, Captain," she reported through the comms. Her voice strained but resolute. "We need more time." Time was a luxury they didn't have. Alex turned to his tactical officer, Lieutenant Marcus Reed. "Status on the experimental weapon?" "Earth scientists are working on it, sir." "They need another hour," Marcus replied, his eyes never leaving his console. Alex nodded grimly. "We don't have an hour. Patch me through to command." The screen flickered to life, showing the faces of Earth's top strategists, including Dr. Elaine Parker, the lead scientist on the weapon project. "Captain Drayton, we're doing everything we can to get the weapon online," Dr. Parker assured, her voice tinged with urgency. "But it's complex. One wrong move, and it could backfire." Alex took a deep breath. "Understood. We'll buy you the time you need." Dauntless out. He turned back to his crew, determination etched on his face. "All right, people, we need to hold the line. Whatever it takes, we hold." In the bowels of the ship, Maria and her team worked with a fervor that bordered on frantic. Every second counted, and they knew it. "Seal that breach," Maria shouted, pointing to a gaping hole in the hull. Her team scrambled, welding and patching with relentless precision. On the bridge, Alex monitored the enemy's movements. The alien ships swarmed like angry hornets, and he knew they couldn't withstand another direct assault. He glanced at Marcus. "Prepare all remaining fighters. We're launching a counterstrike." Marcus's eyes widened. "Captain, without the weapon." "We don't have a choice," Alex cut him off. "We need to keep them off balance." Minutes later, the Dauntless's fighter squadrons launched, engines roaring into the void. Alex watched the screens intently, his heart pounding. "Godspeed, pilots," he whispered. The battle outside intensified, explosions lighting up the darkness. The Dauntless shook violently as enemy fire struck its weakened hull. Alex gripped the rail, his knuckles white. "Hold steady. We can do this." On Earth, Dr. Parker and her team worked feverishly. "We've got a breakthrough," she announced, initiating final protocols. Back on the Dauntless, Marcus's console beeped. "Captain, the weapon's online. We have control." Alex felt a surge of hope. "Excellent. Target the lead enemy ship. Let's give them something to remember." The experimental weapon, a massive energy cannon, hummed to life. The ship vibrated with its power, and Alex felt the air around him crackle. Fire. A blinding beam of energy shot from the Dauntless, cutting through space and striking the lead enemy ship with devastating precision. The alien vessel erupted in a fiery explosion, debris scattering in all directions. Cheers erupted on the bridge, but Alex remained focused. "Good work, everyone. Now let's finish this." The tide of battle began to turn. The remaining enemy ships, thrown into disarray by the sudden loss of their flagship, faltered. The Dauntless's fighters pressed the advantage, weaving through the chaos with deadly efficiency. Alex took a moment to glance at a photo on his console, a picture of his sister, a fellow officer on a nearby supercarrier. The personal stakes of this battle weighed heavily on him, driving his resolve. "For family, for Earth," he murmured. "Captain, incoming message from command," Marcus said, breaking his reverie. The screen flickered to life again, showing Admiral Bennett's stern face. "Captain Drayton, excellent work. Reinforcements are on their way. Hold the line a bit longer." Alex nodded. "Understood, Admiral. We'll hold." As the battle raged on, the Dauntless continued to deliver punishing blows to the enemy. Alex coordinated the defense with precision, every decision calculated to maximize their advantage and minimize losses. Finally, the enemy fleet began to retreat, their forces in disarray. Alex allowed himself a rare smile. "We did it." Marcus grinned. "We sure did, Captain." "Damage report," Alex ordered. Maria's voice crackled through the comms. "We're holding together, Captain. Barely, but we're holding." "Good. Begin repairs immediately. We need to be ready for whatever comes next." As the Dauntless's crew worked to restore their ship, Alex felt a glimmer of hope. They had faced the enemy head-on and emerged victorious. But the cryptic message he received earlier echoed in his mind, a reminder that this battle was only the beginning. Captain Alex Drayton stood on the bridge of the USS Dauntless, eyes fixed on the holographic display of the incoming enemy fleet. Emperor Xalor's flagship loomed large, an ominous presence among the alien warships. Alex's heart pounded, but his voice remained steady as he issued orders. "Prepare for final engagement. All systems check." The crew responded with precision, the tension in the air palpable. Lieutenant Maria Chen, his second-in-command, approached. "Sir, weapon systems are primed. The experimental device is ready for final activation." "Good," Alex replied, nodding. "We need to draw them in closer. Xalor thinks he has the upper hand, but we're going to show him what humanity is made of." The Dauntless shuddered as the first volleys of enemy fire struck its shields. Alex gripped the railing, feeling the ship's vibrations deep in his bones. "Engineering, reinforce the aft shields. We can't let them breach our defenses." Down in the engine room, Chief Engineer Mark Davis barked commands to his team. "Divert power from non-essential systems. We need every bit of energy on those shields." On the bridge, Alex monitored the tactical display. The enemy ships were closing in, their formation tightening around Xalor's flagship. "Maria, initiate the decoy drones. Let's give them something else to shoot at." The drones deployed, scattering in a dazzling array of lights and signals, confusing the alien sensors. For a moment, the barrage of enemy fire lessened, giving the Dauntless a crucial respite. "Captain," Maria said urgently, "Xalor's flagship is broadcasting. He wants to speak." Alex's jaw tightened. "Put him through." Emperor Xala's holographic image flickered to life. His eyes blazed with contempt. "Captain Drayton, your resistance is futile. Surrender now, and I might spare some of your people." Alex met Elor's gaze with unwavering resolve. "Your threats don't intimidate us, Ella. This is our home, and we will defend it with everything we have." Xalor sneered. "Very well. Prepare to be annihilated." The transmission cut off. Alex turned to his crew. "All right, people. This is it. Focus on your tasks, and remember what's at stake. We're not just fighting for survival, we're fighting for our future." The alien fleet advanced, their weapons lighting up the void. The Dauntless's hull groaned under the strain, but Alex's voice remained a constant source of strength. "Hold steady. Maintain formation." Suddenly, a brilliant flash erupted from the rear of the enemy fleet. Earth scientists had succeeded. The experimental weapon was online. A massive energy wave rippled through space, disrupting the alien ship's systems. Chaos ensued as Xala's formation faltered. "Now's our chance," Alex shouted. "Target their flagship. Full power to forward weapons." The Dauntless surged forward, its cannons unleashing a torrent of firepower. The alien ships, disoriented by the energy wave, struggled to respond. Xala's flagship took the brunt of the assault, its shields flickering and failing. On the bridge, the tension was electric. "Captain, their shields are down," Maria reported, excitement breaking through her calm exterior. "Concentrate all fire on their command center," Alex ordered. "We take out Egjol, we break their command structure." Explosions rippled across the enemy flagship as the Dauntless's weapons found their mark. Inside, Xala's control room was a scene of chaos. The Emperor himself was thrown from his command seat as a massive blast tore through the hull. "Direct hit," Maria exclaimed. "Their command center is crippled." Alex allowed himself a brief smile. "Good work, everyone. Keep up the pressure. Let's finish this." The Dauntless continued its relentless assault, tearing through the remaining enemy ships. One by one, they succumbed, their formations breaking apart. The tide of battle had turned decisively in humanity's favor. "Captain, we're receiving transmissions from the other supercarriers," Maria said. "They're reporting similar successes. The alien fleet is retreating." Alex breathed a sigh of relief. "We did it," he said softly, more to himself than anyone else. He straightened, addressing his crew. "We've won this battle, but the war isn't over. Stay vigilant and prepare for recovery operations. We'll need to help our allies and secure our position." As the Dauntless moved through the debris field, Alex took a moment to reflect. The cost had been high, but they had proven humanity's resilience and determination. The message from Earth had been clear. They would not go quietly into the night. "Captain, incoming transmission," Maria interrupted his thoughts. "It's from Earth Command." The holographic display flickered to life, showing Admiral Stevens. "Congratulations, Alex. You and your crew performed admirably. But we've intercepted a new transmission. It seems Xala wasn't acting alone. There's a larger threat on the horizon."